Hi, my name is Audrey Dowling, and I am going to give you a quick summary of an interview that I conducted of a police officer and a local patrolman. The public safety officer's name was Danny Adams, and his title is Public Safety Officer for the City of Sikeston. A little bit of background about Danny is that he's been in patrol and community service now, and he is state certified law enforcement and has been for 17 years. But his ultimate goal is to become a bomb technician with the City of Sikeston. The first question that I asked Danny was, why do you think some people commit crimes? And he responded by, it depends on the individual's upbringing and on what they were taught was okay growing up. Some depends on what type of medication an individual is on, which can cause chemical imbalances in the brain. I also asked him, do you think younger people commit crimes for different reasons than older people? And he responded by saying, no, that age is irrelevant, and that when people are committing crimes, it doesn't depend on the age because they all commit crimes for different reasons. Next, I asked him, do you think men commit crimes for different reasons than women? And he responded by saying, yes, men are more goal-oriented and commit crimes for a reason, while women are territorial, not meaning that in a bad way, but sometimes their motherly instinct kicks in, and they may steal food so their child will have something to eat. In his experience, women commit crimes more for someone else, and men commit crimes mainly to benefit themselves and for more selfish reasons. Next, I asked Danny, why do you think people stop committing crimes? And he responded, some learn their lessons after serving time and being made an example of. Therefore, prison is a good deterrent. And some see the error of their ways do not want to live that lifestyle anymore. The next question was, do you think people's reasons for committing property crimes vary from people's reasons committing violent crimes? And he believes, yes, property crimes are committed more for revenge usually, and individuals that commit violent crimes do so more because they're infatuated with the individual. Next, I asked him, what do you think can be done to prevent people from committing crimes in the first place? And he wasn't really sure how to answer that. There will all be some crime in the world because there's always going to be sin in the world. Then I asked, do you think all crime can be prevented? Why or why not? And this ties back to his previous response. In certain situations, crime could be prevented. And he gave an example. For example, if a child is leaving a brand new bike out in their front yard, instead of them leaving it in their front yard, they can put it away. So this crime will be prevented in the future. But he also thinks it depends on certain situations. And the final two questions I asked him were, in your opinion, are the current efforts and laws put in place sufficient to lower the crime rate? And he believes it depends. The laws have recently changed in January, so now there's more stipulations on violent crimes, and individuals have to have more precursors to get longer sentences opposed to first offenders. And finally asked, what has been the biggest challenge in your career? And he responded with the justice system. He said, you do the work, make the arrest, and by the time your paperwork is done, they are already back on the street. Therefore, it's kind of disheartening. The second interview that I conducted was by Anthony Roberts, and he is a patrolman and a previous jailer for the city of New Madrid. A little bit of background about Anthony is that he is a patrol and police liaison for the New Madrid County Hospital and a previous jailer at the New Madrid County Jail. The first question I asked him is, why do you think some people commit crimes? And he believes it's the circumstances that people are born into. It is also because of the desperations they have to obtain basic needs in which they are unable to afford on their own or to support a habit of some sort. Next, I asked, do you think younger people commit crimes for different reasons than older people? He believes, no, they commit crimes for the same reasons, just as Danny believes. Next, I asked, do you think men commit crimes for different reasons than women? And this ties back to his previous response, no, they commit crimes for the same reasons. Next, I asked him, why do you think some people stop committing crimes? And he believes that they eventually obtain the assistance to get their basic needs, or they kick the habit that they have been trying to support. My next question was, do you think that people's reasons for committing property crimes vary from people's reasons for committing violent crimes? On the outside, he responded, it may appear that way deep down, but I don't think so. I believe it falls back to the initial reasons that they started committing property crimes and expands due to their fear of being caught or losing what they have gained. Next, I asked, what do you think can be done to prevent people from committing crimes in the first place? And he thinks as a society, we make sure that everyone is guaranteed the basic needs such as food, clothing, and shelter, it would prevent many crimes from being committed. Do you think that all crime can be prevented? And this kind of ties back to the previous response. Why or why not? No, the circumstances which we were born into and taught by parents will not allow for crimes to be prevented. Next, the last two questions I asked were, in your opinion, are the current efforts and laws put in place sufficient to lower the crime rate? He doesn't believe so. As a society, we do not work on rehabilitation, learning a skill, or gaining assistance to get basic needs. We just lock the individual up and take away more of their rights, making it harder for someone to change when they get back on the outside. And his biggest challenge in his career has been the public perception of law enforcement. People feel that we are out to get them and not there to help them. There were a few similarities and differences that I noticed between these two interviews, so I'm going to start with Danny. I believe that one of the differences I noticed was that he believed that deterrence stops crime, while Anthony believed that gaining assistance and support stops crime. Also, Danny believed that women and men commit crimes for different reasons, while Anthony believed men and women commit crimes for the exact same reasons. The similarities between the two interviews were that crime is innate, age is irrelevant, and there will always be crime in the world. There were a few theories that stood out to me while conducting these interviews, so I'm going to go over a few of them. I believe they both resonated with the positivist theories, in that Emily Durkheim believed crime is a normal part of society and that individuals' behavior is socially determined, just as they both believe that criminals are created because of what they're born into and how they're raised. They both also resonated with the cultural transmission theory, and this just states that delinquent behavior is handed down through generations. Another theory that I saw that was evident in their opinions was definitely the differential association theory, and this just states criminal behavior is learned in intimate groups. One theory I noticed when interviewing the public safety officer, Danny, is that he resonated with the social control theory, and this just states that deviant behavior is to be expected in the world, just because he said that there's always going to be sin in the world, therefore there's always going to be crime. And then one concept, not theory, but concept that I noticed when interviewing Anthony was the middle class measuring rod. And this is just a concept that was introduced by Albert Cohen, that delinquent behavior is most often found among lower class citizens. And then this is when Anthony said that he doesn't believe that individuals have the means to meet their needs. The individuals that I interviewed, their opinions probably affect their job in a significant way. First, I'll start with a patrolman's views. He probably was impacted by making him more likely to try to win the public over and change their perception and opinion on law enforcement, just because he said this was the biggest challenge that he had in his career. Next, the public safety officer, Danny's, his views probably impacted his job by making it easier for him to accept that he cannot prevent all crime, that some crime is to be expected out of different individuals for different reasons. This concludes my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks.